The warning that changed everything. The message arrived on a Tuesday. It came through every communications relay humanity had ever built. It broadcast across military channels, civilian networks, deep space probes, and colony transmitters. It interrupted television programs, halted stock markets, and silenced entire planets mid-conversation. The signal was not a request. It was a declaration. Admiral Elena Vasquez was in her quarters aboard the UES Defiance when the emergency alarm shattered the silence. She had been reviewing supply manifests, boring work, but necessary. The kind of work that kept a fleet running when politicians forgot that ships needed fuel and crews needed food. The alarm meant one thing: first contact. She was on the bridge in 90 seconds. "Report," she barked, her voice cutting through the controlled chaos of officers shouting coordinates and sensor readings. Lieutenant Chen looked up from his console, his face pale. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission. Origin unknown. It's everywhere. Every relay, every station, every ship in human space is getting the same message." Elena's jaw tightened. "Play it." The main view screen flickered to life. The being that appeared was tall, impossibly so, with skin that shimmered like polished bronze. Its eyes were too large, too bright, and they seemed to look through the camera rather than at it. It wore armor that gleamed with an inner light, and behind it stretched a hall so vast that its walls disappeared into shadow. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of centuries. "People of Earth. People of the human colonies. You are now known to the Valerian Galactic Empire. We are the rulers of 4,000 star systems. We have brought order to chaos, peace to war, and civilization to the darkness between stars for longer than your species has walked upright." Elena watched in silence. Around her, the bridge crew had frozen. "You have been observed. Your expansion into space has been noted. Your technologies have been measured. Your military capabilities have been assessed." The being paused, and something that might have been contempt flickered across its alien features. "You are found lacking." A murmur rippled through the bridge. Elena raised one hand, and silence fell again. "By order of the Valerian High Council, humanity is hereby commanded to surrender. You will dismantle every military vessel. You will destroy every weapon capable of striking beyond your atmosphere. You will cease all expansion beyond your current colonies. You will accept imperial governance and contribute to the empire as a vassal species." The being's eyes seemed to glow brighter. "You have 30 of your days to comply. If you refuse, we will dismantle your civilization ourselves. We will burn your fleets, occupy your worlds, and place your leaders in chains. This is not a negotiation. This is not a discussion. This is the inevitable result of a younger species meeting its superiors." The screen went dark. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then the communications board exploded with incoming signals. Every government, every colony, every ship in human space was screaming for answers all at once. Elena ignored them all. She turned to Chen. "Get me every ship captain in the fleet. I want them on a secure channel in 10 minutes. Then get me the United Earth Council. Tell them I'm coming to New Geneva whether they want me there or not." "Yes, ma'am." Chen's fingers flew across his console. Elena looked back at the empty view screen. Her mind was already racing, calculating, planning. 30 days. That was not enough time to evacuate Earth's 8 billion people. It was not enough time to move the colony populations to safety. It was barely enough time to think. But it was enough time to make a choice. She had served in the fleet for 27 years. She had fought pirates, negotiated with colony separatists, and once spent 6 months hunting a rogue AI that had hijacked a mining station. She had seen humanity at its worst and its best. She had watched people panic, flee, surrender, and give up. She had also watched them rise. The secure channel chimed. Ship captains appeared on smaller screens around the bridge, men and women from a dozen different colonies, each commanding vessels that suddenly seemed impossibly small. You all saw it, Elena said without preamble. You all heard it. So let me be clear, I am not surrendering. I am not dismantling my ship. And I am not bowing to anyone who thinks showing up with threats makes them our superiors. Captain Morrison of the Resolute spoke first. Elena, their fleet. Their fleet is bigger than ours, Elena interrupted. So what? We knew we weren't the only ones out here. We knew contact was coming eventually. We just hoped it would be friendlier. She leaned forward. But here's what they don't know about us, humans don't survive because we're the strongest. We survive because we refuse to quit. We adapt. We improvise. We fight when everyone says we should run. And if we lose, another captain asked quietly. Elena smiled, and it was not a kind expression. Then we lose fighting. Not kneeling. The Council of Fear. The emergency session of the United Earth Council convened 18 hours after the transmission. Elena stood in the observation deck of the Defiance, watching New Geneva Station grow larger through the viewport. The station was humanity's crown jewel, a massive ring of steel and light that orbited Earth like a second moon. It housed the council chambers, diplomatic quarters, and enough bureaucrats to fill a small city. She hated it. Not the station itself, but what it represented. Committees. Debates. Endless discussions while the galaxy burned around them. She had spent half her career fighting for resources while politicians argued over budgets and borders. Now those same politicians would decide whether humanity lived or died. Docking in 5 minutes, Admiral, her pilot announced. Thank you, Sergeant. Elena straightened her uniform and checked her reflection in the dark viewport. Gray hair pulled back tight. Medals she never wore except for occasions like this. The face of a woman who had spent too many years in space and not enough time sleeping. She looked exactly like what she was, a soldier who had run out of patience for games. The docking procedure was smooth. Elena made her way through the station's gleaming corridors, ignoring the stares from passing diplomats and aides. Word had spread fast. Everyone knew why she was here. The council chamber was circular, with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. 73 representatives from Earth's nations and 32 from the colony worlds. All of them talking at once. Secretary General Park stood at the podium, trying unsuccessfully to restore order. When he saw Elena enter, relief flooded his face. Admiral Vasquez has arrived, he announced, his voice amplified. Perhaps we can hear from someone with actual military experience before we continue tearing each other apart. The chamber fell silent. 105 pairs of eyes turned toward Elena. She walked to the center platform without hesitation. I'll keep this simple, she said, her voice echoing in the sudden quiet. The Empire gave us 30 days. We have 29 left. We need to make a decision now. Representative Chen, no relation to her lieutenant, stood from the Earth delegation. Admiral, we've been analyzing the transmission. Their technology appears centuries ahead of ours. Our entire fleet consists of 47 warships. Intelligence estimates they could field thousands. Correct, Elena said. Then surrender is our only option, Chen continued. We cannot win a war against an empire that spans 4,000 star systems. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Elena let them talk for exactly 10 seconds. Then she spoke again, her voice cutting through the noise like a knife. Surrender means disarmament. Disarmament means we have no way to defend ourselves if they decide vassal status isn't enough. If they decide to take our resources, our people, our children for whatever purposes they see fit. She paused. Ask yourself, does a civilization that opens contact with threats and deadlines sound like one that treats its vassals well? The chamber went quiet again. Representative Okoro from the Mars colony stood. What alternative do you propose, Admiral? We cannot fight them. We cannot run, they found us, they can find us again. What's left? Elena had been waiting for this question. We find leverage, she said. 40 years ago, Deep Space Exploratory Mission DS-17 discovered something in the Kepler 442 system. A facility. Ancient. Built by a species called the Architects, at least, that's what the ruins suggested. The science team that investigated it found technologies we still don't understand. Propulsion systems that bend physics. Weapons platforms that make our railguns look like throwing rocks. Energy sources that could power a planet for 1,000 years. She had the chamber's complete attention now. The project was classified. Buried. The politicians at the time decided humanity wasn't ready for that kind of power. They sealed the facility and erased most of the records. Elena's voice hardened. I was part of the security detail. I know where it is. I know how to get in. You're suggesting we steal alien technology? Park asked carefully. I'm suggesting we take what we need to survive, Elena replied. The Architects are long dead. Their facility sits empty. If we can access even a fraction of what's inside, we might have a chance. Not a guarantee. A chance. Representative Chen shook his head. This is insane. We'd be sending our entire fleet into deep space on a desperate gamble. And even if you're right, even if this facility exists and we can use what's inside, we'd still be one species against an empire of thousands. Yes, Elena said simply. But we'd be one species that refused to die quietly. The chamber erupted into argument. Some shouted for surrender. Others demanded more information about the Architect facility. A few called for evacuation, scattering humanity across space to preserve the species even if Earth fell. Elena stood silent in the center of the chaos, waiting. Finally, Secretary General Park raised his hand for silence. It took 3 tries before the chamber settled. Admiral Vasquez, he said carefully. If we authorize this mission, what are our chances of success? Elena met his eyes. She could have lied. Could have inflated the odds, given them false hope to secure the authorization she needed. Instead, she told the truth. I don't know, she said. The facility might be empty. It might be defended by security systems that will destroy us. The technology might be incompatible with our systems. We might get there and find nothing but dust and broken dreams. She paused. But I know what happens if we don't try. We kneel. We surrender every weapon. We trust that an empire built on conquest and threats will treat us fairly. We become servants in our own home. Her voice dropped, but somehow it filled the entire chamber. I didn't spend my entire adult life defending humanity so we could give up the moment someone bigger showed up and told us to. The silence that followed was absolute. Representative Okoro stood again. I vote we authorize the mission. One by one, others rose. Earth representatives. Colony delegates. Even Representative Chen, though he looked like it physically pained him. When the vote finished, it was unanimous. Elena nodded once. Then we leave in 6 hours. I suggest everyone use that time to say goodbye to their families. She turned and walked out of the chamber, already thinking about fuel calculations and jump coordinates and the 1,000 details that separated a plan from survival. Behind her, she heard Park's quiet voice. God help us all. Elena smiled grimly. God wasn't going to help them. But maybe the Architects would. The fleet that refused to kneel. The fleet assembled at Rally Point Omega, a coordinates marker in the empty space between Mars and Jupiter. Elena watched from the bridge of the Defiance as ship after ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. 47 warships. Humanity's entire military might, gathered in one place for the first time in history. It should have felt powerful. Instead, it felt desperate. The Resolute appeared first, Captain Morrison's heavy cruiser bristling with railguns and missile batteries. Then came the destroyers, Thunderchild, Relentless, Vanguard, each one a sleek predator designed for speed and strike capability. The frigates followed, smaller but no less determined. Supply ships. Medical vessels. Even two ancient carriers that predated the colony wars. 47 ships against an empire of thousands. All vessels reporting ready, Admiral, Lieutenant Chen announced. Elena nodded. She had spent the past 6 hours preparing. Fuel checks. Navigation plots. Emergency protocols. She had also recorded a message to her sister, though she doubted she would ever send it. What do you say when you're leading humanity's fleet into the unknown? Sorry, I might not make it back. Try not to let the aliens enslave everyone. She activated the fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Vasquez. You all know why we're here. The Valerian Empire gave us 30 days to surrender. We have 28 left. Instead of kneeling, we're going to do something they don't expect, we're going to arm ourselves. She pulled up a star chart on the main display. A red marker pulsed in deep space, far beyond humanity's regular travel lanes. Kepler 442 system. 6 jumps from here. The journey will take us 14 days if everything goes perfectly. It won't. We'll face equipment failures, navigation errors, and the simple fact that we're pushing our ships harder than they were designed to go. Elena zoomed in on the system. A dim red dwarf star with 5 planets, the third one marked with an ancient facility designation. 40 years ago, we found something there. A facility built by a species called the Architects. They're gone now, dead for thousands of years. But their technology remains. If we can access it, we might stand a chance against the Empire. She paused, letting that sink in. I won't lie to you. This is dangerous. The facility might be defended. It might be empty. We might get there and find nothing. But here's what I know for certain, if we do nothing, we lose. If we surrender, we lose our freedom, our dignity, and maybe our lives. At least this way, we go down fighting. Captain Morrison's voice crackled over the channel. And if we succeed? Elena smiled. Then we show the Valerian Empire that humanity doesn't break easily. Silence filled the channel for 3 heartbeats. Then the responses started flooding in. Resolute ready to jump on your mark, Admiral. Thunderchild standing by. Vanguard locked and loaded. One by one, every ship in the fleet confirmed readiness. Elena felt something unfamiliar warm in her chest. Pride, maybe. Or hope. She wasn't sure she remembered the difference. All ships, prepare for jump sequence. First waypoint is Proxima Station. We refuel there, then continue into deep space. Stay in formation. Watch your neighbors. And remember, we're not running away. We're running toward something. She nodded to Chen. Engage FTL drive. The Defiance shuddered as its faster-than-light engine spun up. Reality twisted around the ship, space folding in ways that human brains weren't designed to comprehend. For a moment, Elena saw stars stretch into lines of light. Then they jumped. The journey to Proxima Station took 18 hours. It was humanity's most distant outpost, a refueling depot built on an asteroid at the edge of explored space. 300 people lived there, mostly engineers and fuel technicians. They had been warned the fleet was coming, but nothing prepared them for the sight of 47 warships appearing in their sky. Station Commander Hayes met Elena in the docking bay. He was a grizzled veteran, missing 2 fingers from a mining accident years ago. Admiral, he said, shaking her remaining hand. Hell of a fleet you've got here. Hell of a situation we're in, Elena replied. Hayes led her through the station while the ships refueled. Proxima was utilitarian, metal corridors, recycled air, the constant hum of life support systems working overtime. "We heard about the transmission," Hayes said. "Whole station watched it together. People are scared, Admiral. Really scared." "They should be," Elena said honestly. "Fear keeps you sharp. It's when people stop being scared that they make mistakes." They reached the command center, a cramped room filled with monitors and fuel management systems. Hayes pulled up a star chart. "Kepler 442 is 6 jumps from here. But there's a problem." He highlighted a section of space between their position and the target system. "This region, the drift, we call it. Lots of gravitational anomalies, rogue asteroids, sensor-dead zones. Ships have gone missing out there." Elena studied the map. "How many?" "3 in the last decade. Survey vessels, mostly. They sent distress calls, then nothing. Pirates? Maybe. Or just bad luck." Hayes looked at her seriously. "Point is, Admiral, you're taking the fleet into space we don't understand. No support. No rescue. If something goes wrong out there, you're on your own." Elena nodded slowly. She had known this mission was dangerous. But hearing it laid out so plainly made it real. "We don't have a choice," she said finally. "Everyone has a choice," Hayes replied. "You're choosing to fight instead of surrender. I respect that. Just make sure your people know what they're getting into." 22 hours later, the fleet departed Proxima Station. Elena stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the asteroid shrink behind them. Ahead lay the drift, empty space that wasn't quite empty, where navigation computers got confused and sensors saw ghosts. "All ships maintain tight formation," she ordered. "If anyone starts drifting off course, I want to know immediately." The fleet jumped again. Space twisted. Stars streaked. Reality bent. When they emerged, something was wrong. "Admiral," Chen said, his voice tight. "Sensors are detecting debris. Ship debris." Elena's stomach dropped. "Put it on screen." The view screen showed scattered wreckage floating in the void. Hull plating. Engine components. A ship's nameplate, scorched but readable, ESS Horizon. One of the missing survey vessels. "Scan for survivors," Elena ordered, though she already knew the answer. "Negative, ma'am. No life signs. Wreckage is consistent with weapon impacts." "Weapon impacts." Elena stared at the debris field. The horizon had disappeared 7 years ago. The official report said it was likely a navigation error or system failure. The official report was wrong. "Someone destroyed that ship," Morrison said over the fleet channel. "And I don't think it was pirates." Elena's mind raced. The drift suddenly felt less like empty space and more like a hunting ground. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered. "Activate shields. Charge weapons. Whatever killed the horizon might still be out here." The fleet tightened formation, every ship bristling with weapons and tensed for battle. They waited. Nothing happened. Elena stared at the debris field. The horizon had disappeared 7 years ago. The official report said it was likely a navigation error or system failure. The official report was wrong. "Someone destroyed that ship," Morrison said over the fleet channel. "And I don't think it was pirates." Elena's mind raced. The drift suddenly felt less like empty space and more like a hunting ground. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered. "Activate shields. Charge weapons. Whatever killed the horizon might still be out here." The fleet tightened formation, every ship bristling with weapons and tensed for battle. They waited. Nothing happened. For 6 hours, they traveled through the drift, expecting an attack at any moment. But the void remained empty. Silent. Watching. When they finally jumped again, leaving the debris field behind, Elena realized something. The Empire had warned them. Had given them 30 days. Had assumed humanity would either surrender or run. What if something else had been watching humanity for far longer? What if the architect's facility wasn't as abandoned as everyone thought? She pushed the thought away. One problem at a time. Next jump in 4 hours, she announced. Get some rest. We're going to need it. But she didn't rest. She stayed on the bridge, watching the stars, wondering what waited for them in the darkness ahead.